Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing another recommendations video. I always tell myself that I'm going to do more of these and then I don't. But somebody actually reached out to me and they wanted me to do a video for mystery thrillers for beginners. So I got you. That's exactly what we are going to do today. So all of the books that I'm going to talk about today, they are books that I think will work perfectly for people who aren't that familiar with the mystery thriller genre. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the books. I'm just going to give you guys a really brief synopsis and the reasons why I think this would work for a beginner. I also have all of these books like broken down into like subcategories. So the first one that I'm going to start with is what I consider like the lighter side of mystery thrillers. And two of the books that I'm going to talk about are actually for young adults. And the reason why I decided to add in two young adult books is because I think when it comes to young adult, the mysteries aren't really all of that intricate. You can just kind of go with the flow. So if you've been on this channel for a while, then you probably know which books I'm going to mention. But the first one is going to be A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Again, this is young adult. So in this one, we're following high school student Pip. She is working on her senior project. And so for her senior project, she decides that she is going to reopen a murder case that happened in her town where a girl was murdered and everyone thought that the girl's then boyfriend committed this murder. And so Pip is looking into it for her project. And so the reason why I thought this would be a good one is because this involves a lot of mixed media. So it makes the story feel way more fast paced. And so when I say mixed media, in case you've never seen that before in a book, it has a lot of her like project logs. There's a map in here. There's a lot of transcripts from police files. There's a lot of transcripts from like interviews that were conducted, emails, text messages, that sort of thing. And also I would highly recommend, if you have never listened to an audiobook, this will be a great book to listen to on audio. And I would actually suggest listening to the audio and reading it physically so that you can actually see the mixed media. This will give you a really, really good reading experience, and you can dip your toes into a nice, easy mystery. Now, if A Good Girl's Guide to Murder did not sound good to you, then I would suggest Five Survive, also by Holly Jackson. So in this one, we're following 6 characters. They're young students. I think a couple of them are in high school, a couple of them are like on their way to college. And so they're taking a road trip in an RV during spring break. The RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and they soon find out that there is a sniper in the woods trying to pick them off one by one. They are told by this sniper through like a walkie-talkie that was planted in the RV that they will let them go if one particular person reveals their secret. I thought this was really fun. This is a mystery, but it also has some thrilling elements in it because we're watching these people try to survive out in the woods, and at certain points there's a lot of action that takes place. So if you are looking for a good mystery thriller mix, this will be a good one for you. The last one that I have on like the lighter side is The Maid by Nita Prose. This is actually the first book in the Maid series. This is what some people consider like a cozy mystery. And so in this one, we are following Molly the maid, and she is being investigated for the death of one of the people that were staying at the hotel because she was the last person that was with this person before they died. So this isn't necessarily a favorite of mine, but if you want just like a nice, easy mystery, this is great. But if you also want a really nice character to follow, this is great as well because Molly the maid is a wonderful character. So not only will you get pleasant characters to follow, you will also have a mystery in there as well. So then I have None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. So right now, and I don't think it's happening as much as it was happening maybe like a year or two ago, where we are seeing these authors incorporate podcasts into their stories. So if you are somebody that listens to like a lot of podcasts, but you've never read a mystery thriller, this is one that I would recommend, and I would highly recommend the audiobook for this so that you will get the full experience. So in this one, we are following 2 characters. We have Alex and Josie. And so they are birthday twins, meaning their birthdays falls on the same day. And Josie realizes that she is Alex's birthday twin. She also realizes that Alex is the host of a really popular podcast. And so Josie reaches out to Alex and tells her that she would like to be involved in one of her podcast episodes because she has a story to tell. And boy, is it a story. So it includes the podcast element. There's also an element of like the podcast being kind of like turned into a show. So you kind of get a mix of the two. And then this also has just like a lot of secrets that are being revealed. And it's that trope of an unreliable narrator. So you don't know whether or not Josie is telling the truth, which really makes the character of Josie really interesting to follow. So again, if this sounds good to you, I would suggest to pick this up on audiobook to get the full experience. So next up, I have two mystery thrillers that I would recommend for people who like a lot of action in their stories. One of them is a little bit more serious, and then the other one is a little bit not so serious. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, and this would not be a mystery thriller list if I did not include my favorite author. So in Razorblade Tears, we are following two fathers. So we have Ike, who's a black man, and we have Buddy Lee, who was white, and their sons were married. This is something that both of the fathers was taking a lot of time to get to cope with, because that's just not something that they necessarily believed in, but their sons were married and their sons were also murdered. Both Ike and Buddy Lee do not think that the police are doing their job with trying to figure out who murdered their sons, so they take it upon themselves to figure out what happened to their sons. This is a great story if you are looking for a lot of action. I believe it reads just like an action movie. A lot of people say that it reads just like an action movie. Now, that tends to work for some people more so than others, but I think if you are looking for something that has a lot of action, something that is dealing with tougher issues, if you like friendships, that is something that you will get in here, because Buddy Lee and Ike do not get along in the beginning of the story, but by the end, they kind of form this nice friendship. So if those are the things that are buzzwords for you, I think this will work. Now this one, I'm not sure if a lot of people will agree with me, but The Last Word by Taylor Adams, I feel has a lot of action once the story really starts going, but it is more on the sillier side. So it doesn't take itself as serious as Razorblade Tears did. So in this one, we're following this woman. Her name is Emma. She is currently house sitting, and while she is there, she reads, I think it was like a horror book, and she did not like it, and so she rated it 1 star and left a negative review. The author reaches out to Emma and is like harassing her through messages, telling her that she shouldn't have left that 1 star review. She needs to remove it. She's doing authors a disservice by rating a book low, and Emma's stands on business and says, no, I'm not deleting it. And then all of a sudden, Emma is being stalked by who she thinks is this author. Like I said, it is silly. It does take a little bit to get into. So I'm going to say that if you pick this up, stick with it for a little while, because eventually it does pick up. It gets really entertaining, and I think this is something that people who like action would enjoy. So the next 2 books that I want to recommend, I would say are more for people who, if you like mess, if you like any sort of dramas, if you're someone who, I don't know, watches like a lot of reality TV that has like a lot of mess in it, these books might be for you. So the first one I'm going to recommend is Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. I've talked about this book so much because I just cracked up the entire time I was reading this. So in this one, we are following these siblings who are trying to figure out who murdered their parents. And I think the murder took place on like the night of Easter. And so all of these siblings are being suspected by the cops because they realize because their parents are dead, they're going to get a huge inheritance. So the cops just assume that one of the siblings killed their parents. And so we're just following them as they try to figure out which one of these siblings did it. And I thought this was a hoot. The mystery, I don't think it's that hard to figure out once you really start to get to know these siblings. But I think the mess and the drama of it all is what will keep you hooked into the story. I have not seen anybody who I have recommended this to say they did not like it. So I think this will work out for you if you like just that messiness. Then we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. So she is a really popular author right now. She is releasing books like it almost feels like twice a year. So I'm pretty sure even if you have never read a mystery thriller, you have probably seen this book. So in this one, we are following our main character, Millie. She is like a down on your luck. She's living out in her car. And so she applies for this position to be a housemaid. She actually gets it to her surprise. But one of the things that's weird is once they hire her, this family, so it's Nina and her husband, Andrew, once they hire her, they tell her she has to live with them. So she's a live-in nanny, and she has to stay in the attic. What's weird about that is that in this attic, the door locks from the outside. So she's not able to lock herself inside the room, but somebody can lock her in there. And so she thinks that's weird, but then she kind of overlooks it. But throughout the story, we kind of learn that Millie has her own secrets, and then the husband and wife, Nina and Andrew, have their own secrets as well. Now, I consider this a little messy, not so much in the beginning, because in the beginning, we're just watching Millie as she's working for this family. But once you hit the halfway point and people's secrets starts to get revealed, this becomes a little messy. It has a lot of drama in it, and I think this will go in places that you aren't expecting. So I think this is perfect for somebody who is reading mysteries for the first time. So then the next two books that I want to recommend are for a specific trope, and that is the trope of being picked off one by one. So people are dying one by one. And the reason why I picked that trope is because I think there are a lot of books out there like that. Some do this trope better than others. The two that I'm going to talk about have done it very well. But the reason why I picked this is because I think if you watch like a lot of mystery thrillers, this is a trope that you've probably seen before there as well. So if this is something that you like, I think these will work for you. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So this is a toss-up. Some people either really love this one or they don't. So this one follows our main character, Daisy. And Daisy and her family are going to their Nana's house for her 80th birthday. And so at a certain point during the night, Nana is dead. And then slowly, one by one, each of the siblings are dying as well, and we're trying to figure out why and who. So I really think this is a good one because it's very atmospheric. It takes place in, I think it was like Halloween night. It's like raining outside. They're stuck on like this little island because that's where the house is located. And it kind of gives you like those cozy vibes as well. And then I think that if you've never read a mystery thriller, you would be very surprised by the twist in this book. So I think if you've never seen that before and this is your first time, I think you would absolutely love this book. So then the other one that has the trope of being picked off one by one, this is one that I recently read. This is Dead of Winter. I read it this past winter, and I wanted to recommend this one specifically just because one, I thought it was really good, and two, because you can read it in like the colder months and really feel the atmosphere. So in this one, we're following this, I think they're like newlywed couple or not yet married. I think they're not yet married. No, it's just a couple. And it's Krista and her boyfriend. And so they're going on this trip and they're with like 8 other people. And so they actually get stranded on the way to their resort. And so when they get stranded, all of a sudden the tour guide goes missing and no one knows what happened. And they start walking and they come upon a cabin, and that's where they're going to stay until they can figure out what to do since their tour guide is no longer with them. But then they find the tour guide's head up on like a tree, on like a branch. And then after that, chaos ensues and people are starting to die one by one. I thought this was really good. This is another author that is pretty popular, Darcy Coates. This is my first book by her. But if you like that trope, I think you'll like this. And this is definitely something that I would recommend you read in like the colder months. So I have 2 more books to go over. And these 2 books are mysteries, a little bit of horror, and then they have like a supernatural element. So if you've not read any of those before, I think these will work for you. So the first one being Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. So I'm sure, again, if you have never read this genre before, you have probably seen this author's name because all of his books are very popular. And so this one, I believe, is one of their more popular books. So Home Before Dark follows our main character, Maggie. When Maggie was younger, her and her family like stayed at this estate, and they were only there for like a few days, I think like 20 days. And something was going on in that house that drove that family to leave. And so Maggie's father actually wrote about the family's experience in that house. He may or may not have exaggerated a couple of facts. He wrote a book, it became very popular, but Maggie never truly believed the things that her father wrote in this book. So I think this will be good because it does a couple of things. So, like I said, it has that horror element. There's also a supernatural element because we don't really know what was going on in the house. Was it something supernatural like a ghost or something? Or was something else going on in this house? It also has that trope of a book within a book. If you've never read anything like that, this could be a pretty good read for you. So we're getting alternating chapters. So in one chapter, we will get the past, which is basically Maggie's father, and it's telling the events of what happened in that house leading up to the day from the time that they got there to when they left. And then in the present chapters with Maggie, we are following her as she has to go back to this house because she inherited the house after her father died. And so she is trying to debunk everything that happened in her father's book. So there's a lot going on, and it's nothing new for people who have are well versed in the genre. But if this is the first time that you ever read anything like this, I think you would eat this up. So the last one that I have here is Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. Again, it has a little bit of mystery, it has a little bit of horror, it has like that supernatural element. And this was the first book that I read that actually had all that. So I ate this up, and it also kind of creeped me out. So in this story, we are following our main character, Ruthie, I believe. Yes. Ruthie and her mother and sister are living in a farmhouse, and Ruthie's mother goes missing. So her and her sister are trying to figure out what happened to her mother. But then we're getting these flashback chapters, so like 1908 with the person that lived in the house before them. And when they lived in the house, the owner, her name was Sarah, her daughter had went missing, and there was this thing that was going on where people thought that you can bring people back from the dead. And so Sarah tried to do that. And because of that, it ties in with the mystery, the current mystery of Ruthie's missing mother. This was really good. It was very atmospheric. Again, it was very creepy. And that supernatural element really worked well in this one because, again, can you bring people back from the dead? Can you not? And if you can, what happens to those people? This is another one that you'll really enjoy if you have not read any of those like subgenres before, or if you are looking to be creeped out, and or if you are looking to read something in the winter as well. Again, this will do it for you. So those are all the books that I have to recommend this time around. If this is something that you guys enjoyed, I'm pretty sure I can do this type of video again. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below if you have read any of these. Did I hit the mark with the books that I'm recommending, or would you guys have recommended something else? And if you would recommend something else, please leave those down in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.